Okay, class, today we're moving on to chapter 14.3, which is surface area of cylinders. We have already learned how to find the surface area of prisms and the surface area of pyramids. Now we're moving on to cylinders. So we have to think to ourselves, how are cylinders and, say for example, rectangular prisms alike? Well, they both have two congruent bases and they both have a lateral portion. The only difference is in a cylinder, your bases are circles, whereas in a prism, for example, the rectangular prism, your bases are rectangles. And so what we did with the prisms and pyramids is we found the area of the base or bases, and then we found the area of the lateral faces. It's going to be the same thing with cylinders, except that your bases are circles. So this right here is the net of this if it was to be opened up into a 2D shape. You have two circle bases and then you just have one lateral surface. But when you think about it, this lateral surface, is folded around these circles. So when you're trying to find the surface area, the first thing you need to do is find the area of your bases, which means we need to find the area of a circle. We learned how to find the area of a circle back in chapter 13. And that formula was pi times radius squared. Okay, so the first part here, the area of the bases, is 2 times pi times radius squared. The 2 comes from you have two bases. Okay, now for the lateral surface, this looks just like a rectangle, but like I said, when you fold it together over the bases, it's highlighted red here because this is actually going to be the circumference of the circle. It's actually, when it's folded together into this shape, it's a rounded circle. So to find the area of this lateral surface, it's going to be 2 times pi times radius times height. The 2 comes from the fact that it's going to be rounded up top and on the bottom. So you have it for both bases. That's why you have to do that times 2. Pi times radius times your height. Okay, so this is the actual formula to find the surface area. So as long as you're putting in the right numbers, you will always get the proper answer. Okay, so let's do the first example here. Finding the surface area of a cylinder, round your answer to the nearest tenth. Make sure that you are looking at those when you are doing the assignments in the textbook, because a lot of times I get emails saying, I know I have this answer right, but when I put it in, it's telling me it's wrong. And a lot of times it's because you aren't rounding your answer to what it's telling you to round it to. So make sure you're paying attention to that. Okay, so this is our cylinder. It has a radius of 4 and a height of 3. And over here is the two-dimensional net of that cylinder. Okay, so I'm going to start off by writing the formula. It's good practice to write it out each time you're doing the problem. That way you're getting it into your head. You're going to memorize it faster and better if you're constantly writing it out each time you do a problem. Okay, so 2 times pi times radius squared, that's going to be the area of my bases, plus 2 times pi times radius times height. Okay, so I'm just going to put in my numbers. My radius is 4. Times radius times height. Now, when you're doing all this too, you can keep the 3.14 as pi until you get to the end. And let me show you. Let's do it that way, so when you get to the end, it's easier for you to calculate it in your calculator, so you're not having, because if you go ahead and just start typing all this in, 2 times 3.14 times 4 squared, you're getting your decimals already. Just let me show you how to do it with just leaving pi as pi for now. So if I do 2 times 4 squared. 4 squared is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. So I'm left with 32 pi. I'm just leaving the 3.14 as pi right now. And then I'm just multiplying my whole numbers. 2 times 4 times 3 is 24. So 24 pi. So 32 pi plus 24 pi is 56 pi. And then now if I just do 56 times pi or 56 times 3.14 in the calculator, I get 175.8 millimeters squared as my answer. Okay, so you're just putting the numbers into the formula, and I believe I only assigned 3 problems for this lesson. So go ahead, do that textbook lesson. Let me know if you need help, and then we're going to continue on with 4.3 14.3 next week. All right, thanks guys.